What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Party on Broad. Today we are breaking down the top day 2 targets for the Philadelphia Eagles in the 2023 NFL Draft. We're also previewing the Sixers' upcoming round 1 matchup with the Brooklyn Nets. Joining me, my man Rob Lange. Give him a follow on Twitter at Philly_Madness. What's up, Rob?
Hey, man, I'm excited. You know, draft's a couple weeks away. Got Sixers playoffs start Saturday. I will be in the building game 1. I'm super pumped.
Love it.
You know, ready to go. So fun times. Although I'm watching the Phillies losing 3-2 to the Marlins.
No,
that's not fun.
Man,
it's not over yet. But we'll see.
Freddie will also be joining us momentarily, dealing with some technical issues. Rob, let's jump right in. Let's start with round 2 for the Philadelphia Eagles. Maybe we can go back and forth with this. I don't know his list. He doesn't know my list. Favorite targets for the Eagles in round 2.
It's for me, it's going to really be interesting because what does round 2 give you? Does it give you one pick? Do you trade out of 30 and you get a high second round pick and then you have your pick at 62? How does it play out? If the Eagles do not go defensive backfield in the first round, I think that they have to start looking at that pretty early on in the second round. And because Dobbs is my guy when it comes to names and people, are there second round defensive backs that stick out to you that kind of come off as the guys you would like to see the Eagles target?
There's a trio. There's a trio of guys that I really like at the start of day 2 when it comes to defensive backs. First up, Emmanuel Forbes. The thing you need to know about Emmanuel Forbes, his most impressive attribute is his ball hawking ability. He has phenomenal catch radius, great length, doesn't have great frame. He's really thin, but incredible speed, incredible production. The biggest playmaker in this draft when it comes to interceptions and generating turnovers. He only weighed like 166 at the combine, but he thrives in press coverage. He's got really good versatility to play in zone, and he plays with an aggressive mindset despite being so light on his feet. So that's Emmanuel Forbes. Another guy we talked about pretty recently, I think, Rob, was Kelee Ringo out of Georgia. Really intriguing versatility, can play corner on the outside, but also has the upside to play safety. Really good size and length, 6'2", 205 pounds. Really impressed during the combine with his 40. He ran the 40 in 4.36 seconds. That tied him for 5th place among defensive backs. Big-time playmaker at his best when targeted downfield. Only allowed 8 of his 31 targets to be caught for 211 yards on throws, 10-plus yards downfield last year. Just very few defensive backs have his combination of size, speed, physicality. I just think he has all the physical traits to really succeed in the NFL. And the other guy I really like, Rob, is Sidney Brown out of Illinois. Sidney Brown is a really underrated prospect. He's a high riser that has been dominating the draft process, especially the Senior Bowl, where he was a standout with his coverage skills and speed, physical at the stem, really good balance, really great short area quickness. He's kind of like that Swiss Army knife like Brian Branch. He's kind of like a poor man's Brian Branch. He can do anything you want. Cornerback, slot, safety, thrives in coverage, can be physical against the run. So Sidney Brown is a guy to watch out for.
Yeah, and it's funny because they're the 3 names I was kind of hoping you said. They're 3 guys that I was thinking about. But, you know, if they go offense, and I know, Dobbs, I know you've been on the Zach Charbonnet train for probably as long as I've been talking to you about the draft. I think that this kid, they don't go Bijan in the first round. I think Zach Charbonnet is a guy that I don't know if he's there at 62, but I think that he's a guy I would love to see them target.
I'm muted. I'm back. What's up, Freddie? Can you hear us?
Yes, I think I
Freddie's
figured it
here.
out. Oh, I'm here. I'm here.
What's going on? But Zach Charbonnet, he's just a guy with immense size, just a perfect fit with what the Eagles want to do without wasting a first-round pick on a Bijan Robinson, on a possible Jahmyr Gibbs at the end of round one. But Zach Charbonnet, 6'1", 220 pounds, checks the size box, moves the chains, 145 rushing first downs and touchdowns since 2021. The best mark of all Power 5 school players per PFF. He's a north to south guy, thrives in picking up the blitz. Really good, short area kind of running back that can also move the piles downfield. He had 26 runs of 15 yards or more last year. Just a bruiser. He's not an elite athlete, but a no nonsense throwback running back that I think would thrive with Jalen Hurts in the RPOs on third down and just make them go from here to there because they're already elite in those situations. But Zach Charbonnet, I actually have a higher grade on him over Jahmyr Gibbs.
Freddie, what do you got?
Are we on round 62 still? Pick 62? All right.
Yep.
I don't know if this guy's going to be here. Hopefully you guys didn't say him yet because I'm kind of excited to talk about him. Out of Oklahoma, 5'11", 183 pounds. He can return punts.
Yeah.
Marvin Mims. We need a slot guy. We need Britton Covey. I know he did his Reno Mahe last year, received the punts, didn't do much else, which I'm very happy with. But I would just love that speed there. He can learn under Devontae and A.J. Brown. There's really no pressure. And then when A.J. Brown's contract's up, we'll just see what's up at that point. And now we may just move on to them too. Because if Hurts is going to continue to get paid, we got to replace that receiver. And I just think it would be such a threat. He's explosive. He catch. What's the knock on him? His route tree. But I heard about DK Metcalf too. And he's done pretty well in the NFL. Not that they're the same player. But Tyreek Hill, like Marvin Mims. Do you think he'll be there, Dibes?
I do. I think he's arguably one of the best day two talents in this draft. Amazing athlete. He had the fifth best vertical of 39.5 inches. 4.38 40 yard dash. Only three wide receivers ran faster than Marvin Mims at the combine. 5'11", 184 pounds. A guy that is an after the catch monster. What you need to know about Marvin Mims is he's one of those elite contested catch guys. I know Rob loves him some contested catch guys, but he really thrives in that role. He can play the slot. He can play the boundary. He played on the perimeter 68.7% in 2022, but he did play 75.5% of his snaps in the slot in 2021. So he can play all three spots, attack defenses on all three levels. Marvin Mims is a great choice.
Another guy I was thinking out of Notre Dame, Isaiah Foskey. He's all the measurables, all that stuff. I think he had 65 pressures, like 23 sacks in 2 seasons. My buddies are big Notre Dame's guys. They say he can disappear at times from the way they say watching him. I mean, the few YouTube clips I checked out, he looked good to me. I think if we don't get an edge rusher there in the first round, we obviously would be addressing some other positions. He's one that caught my eye. And then a safety out of Texas A&M, Antonio Johnson.
Huge.
He could play safety. Yeah. He could play corner, moves up the linebacker. I mean, is that not Chauncey Gardner-Johnson? Well, he can't really play linebacker, but he can tackle from the slot, play the slot. Is that Brian Dawkins? Does that sound like Brian Dawkins? Not that he will be that or put that pressure on him like everyone did to Kayvon Wallace just because he was from Clemson. But, that's Antonio Johnson's another guy. Any of those names you guys like? Dibes, I know you've been studying it big time. Rob, how you feel about them names?
I love the idea of Antonio Johnson. That's a guy that I've read up on a little bit. I think he would fit the mold. It's funny because before you got on, Freddie, Dibes was talking about Kelee Ringo and the fact that he may even be able to play safety. Dibes, I have not been able to pinpoint where Kelee Ringo is going in this draft. Are they? Is that a guy that they'd have to trade back from 30 and get into the top half of that first of that second round to get him, or can they get him at 62?
I think he started out 2022 like in the top 15 when it comes to talent. He struggled in the college football playoff against Marvin Harrison Jr., who's going to be a top 5 pick in next year's draft. Just got torn up, but that wasn't he did get ripped, but a big piece of that was because the Ohio State offensive line was so dominant against Georgia that it left Kelee Ringo out to dry. And Marvin Harrison will dominate anybody. But long story short, I think people are overreacting to Kelee Ringo getting chewed up by Harrison Jr. And I think I would expect him to go anywhere in that back end of round 1, top of round 2 area. But I think, sometimes people say like his, potential at safety is a negative. I think that's a positive. We actually talked about this with Mark Schofield. And I think that versatility is kind of the future of the NFL, positionless defenders at the next level. I think, especially at safety, like if you can get a guy to fill in at slot, fill in on the outside at safety. I mean, look at what the Eagles do. They do that a lot.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be awesome? If the Eagles added 2 more Georgia defensive players and had 4 in their starting lineup next year?
Please.
Oh my God. It would be if you're telling me Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean, I don't know what's either
Nolan Smith, Chris Smith,
Nolan Smith. Maybe they get
Jalen
lucky,
Carter.
right? Maybe they go up against Jalen Carter, and then you get Kelee Ringo. God, man, it would be like, because for so many years I was tired of the guy from Saginaw Valley State. Like I wanted these blue chip athletes. Now,
SEC, man, they always avoided that. Fine, that's the one thing about Haley.
And then all of a sudden it was like, all right, they drafted Devontae Smith, they were drafting Landon Dickerson. Then they moved over to Georgia, and I'm like, okay, I kind of like the trend here.
Yeah.
It was why I wanted Justin Jefferson back in days. He went to LSU, but that's besides the point. Once a show. Once a show. But that's the kind of stuff. But real quick, before we move on, I wanted to say in the second round, I think a position that no one's talking about that it would be very Eagles to do is a tight end.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if they go after the kid from Iowa, or if there's another one on their board, they're going to want a second tight end, and I don't think any of these other guys have really worked out. If you remember, they did that, right? They had Zach Ertz, and they drafted Goddard. I believe he was a second-round pick.
Yep.
Kind of like everybody was like, well, you have Ertz. What? Because that's a guy that can help now, but also, God forbid, Goddard goes somewhere else in the future. You've got the heir apparent right behind him that you can groom.
Without a doubt.
Awesome.
Yeah, tight end is definitely something that they love the 2 tight ends, and they've been trying to make it work with these other guys, Tyree Jackson, Jack. Who's the other guy? Calcaterra. Yeah. He was the big. He was rated pretty high, and then what was it? An injury that pushed him back late. I don't know why, but he was a top 2 round guy, and we got him late.
Yeah,
but, I could definitely.
Real quick, a 3rd round guy that I would love for the Eagles to get. His name is Blake Freeland out of BYU. Rob and I were talking about, possibly drafting an offensive lineman in round 1. We both agree. Jeff Stoutland University is not going anywhere. He doesn't need uber elite, talent when it comes to offensive linemen. Blake Freeland is super raw, but has just rare size, rare power capacity, 6'8", 305 pounds. Really struggled at the Senior Bowl, especially with speedier edge rushers off the edge and one-on-ones. But this guy has been starting ever since his freshman season. He has 2 seasons at right tackle, 2 at left tackle, has been one of the best pass protectors in the country over that span, only 12 pressures allowed on nearly 900 pass blocking snaps. He just needs polish. And Blake Freeland has all the measurables for Jeff Stoutland to turn into an all-pro.
Did you guys touch on the 3rd round yet?
Yeah, we just started. So Blake Freeland, I think Sam Laporta could possibly be in that 3rd round area, but that's a really great one, Rob. Sam Laporta, was underutilized at Iowa. I think he's dangerous after the catch. He ranked third among all tight ends in yards after the catch last season, and also led all tight ends in broken tackles with 20. That 20 broken tackles number ranks fifth among all tight ends over the last decade. Great route runner, and he just dominated the combine with his measurables and testing. So that's a great choice, Rob.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious. Where is it? I actually have notes today. I'm looking at it. When you talk about third round guys, I don't know if this guy gets there, but is this where the Eagles maybe look to get another linebacker to groom? They seem to love to draft that third round linebacker. Davion Taylor, Nakobe Dean. I think Jordan Hicks was a third round pick back in the day. I feel like, I think the second round, wouldn't be surprised to see Eagles go offensive line. They've done it the last 2 years. They are a creature of habit to a certain extent. So when you look at linebackers, is Dion Henley from Washington State a guy that they can get? Does he slip to the third round where they can get him in the third round? I know some people think maybe he's a second round pick, but is the third round where they go and say, hey, we need some more linebacker help. We need some depth at that position and maybe do something like that.
It's a really bad position this year, linebacker. I probably wouldn't touch one until then. Dayon Henley is really interesting. He was absolutely sensational at the Senior Bowl, especially in coverage. Rare short area quickness for that size. But the thing about that guy is he's, I think, almost 24 years old or just turned 24 years old. And for a guy that's that raw, that definitely gives you a little bit of pause. Jack Campbell is a really interesting name on day two. 6'5", 246 pounds. Is a huge guy. And that's definitely one to look out for. Drew Sanders, another day two guy. Overall, it's kind of bad. It's not a class that gets me excited. I would definitely look at other positions of need because it's just in general weak class.
A position I could see them going as well, especially because they're going to do right by us and they're not going to draft a running back in the first round. This guy I brought up last week, we didn't really talk much about him. He's more of a fourth round guy, but we're almost in the fourth round anyway. At pick 94 at a Texas A&M, Devon Achane. I really like him. He can catch the ball out of the backfield a bit. I think he fits the need. You're not going to have to pay for him in 4 years. I really think that's the spot to take running back if they're going to. We don't have another pick till the 7th round after that. His size, he's a little small, I would say, but I think that's a perfect Eagles pick there. What's your thoughts on him, Dibes?
Devin Achane ran the same 100-meter time as Jamaica's Johan Blake. Dude is Olympic, just ridiculous athlete. He's not a power back, but he's super fast, super great in open space. One of the elite forced missed tackle guys in this draft, man. He forced a missed tackle on 29% of career attempts. That is 5th among Power 5 backs since 2020. But Devin Achane's all about his potential as a receiver. It would be kind of redundant, especially with Kenny G kind of filling in for him there. And he's what's really important about Devin Achane as well is his ball security. He's only had 2 fumbles in his career at Texas A&M. That's really great. So his that combination of him being a legit receiver out of the backfield, his speed, and that ball security makes him definitely an intriguing option in that day 2, round 3-4 area.
Well, I think that's it for the draft talk here. We got 2 weeks to go, boys. 2 weeks.
Can't wait.
Before we talk some Sixers playoffs, and I can't wait for your rant, Rob, we're going to talk about some sponsors. Now, I don't have the actual ads up because I had some issues with my computer that I had everything saved on that I prepared 20 minutes before the show that crapped on me. So we're going to go right to the website. So we're going to first start here with our amazing sponsors from Sherry's Tickets. Let me pop that up on the screen for you.
There you go.
Sherry's Ticket Town, Sherry'sTickets.com. It's easy to use, has no hidden fees. Hear that? Zero, none, no hidden fees. Whatever that price is the price you pay. Pay less and play more with sherrystickets.com. Save even more by using the exclusive promo code EOP10. Don't pay hidden fees and save 10%. Why use any other ticket reseller and get those hard-to-come-by tickets to the big game? If you need a more personal touch, give them a call at 610-494-5050 or visit their office at 1382 Namens Creek Road, Suite 1, Garnet Valley, PA 19060. Sherry'sTickets.com also has great theater and concert tickets. Taylor Swift, that are hard to get your hands on. Remember, don't overpay with the rest. Save with the best. Sherry'sTickets.com. Save 10% using the promo code EOP10. Now, where if you want to travel, you can get your tickets. There's a place you can also travel to these games as well. I'm pulling them up now. PhillySportsTrips.com. I've used them personally. They're one of the best. You can actually get out to the draft right now if you wanted to. They have a trip running for Kansas City. Look at all these trips. Chicago, New York, the Union, Phillies, Pittsburgh, all over the place. Go to PhillySportsTrips.com. They're the best of the best. High quality food, tailgate, entertainment. They always have an amazing guest. They just had Charlie Manuel. You can walk up, talk to him, shake his hand, meet the guy, the World Series of the manager of the 08 Phillies. They always have a great guest on. Go to PhillySportsTrips.com today and book your trip. And finally, our final sponsor. I know. I'm getting you there. Stop screen. Killing us here.
It's okay.
This will not happen again.
We're not going to judge you too harshly for it. As long as you agree with everything I say in my rant, I'm not going to judge you for it.
There's chances are I'm probably am, but that's I feel like I align with you sometimes.
I don't know.
Well,
Dibes is out. He left. Dibes didn't want to hear my rant so bad he just left.
Wow. Well, our final ad is from David Cherry Law. Go to davidcherrylaw.com for criminal law. Are you on there now, Dives?
I'm here.
Lord.
Call them at 610-565-0300. Personal injury and workers' compensation attorney, Cherry Injury Law. We'll hit you 3 times on the night show at 8:30. Cherry Injury Law. Sorry about that. Technical issues. Well, let's jump into the Sixers and to segue us into that. Rob has a rant, and does it have anything to do with the fans?
Well, it's more so. I want us to be able to look at things as a fan base, just in a way that we're not always trying. And I kind of what I brought up before. You can always twist things to fit the narrative that you're trying to go with, right? But let's just talk about what happened, because a lot of stats came out after the season that I was kind of stunned about, because if I would have listened to Twitter, the Sixers would have had one of their worst seasons in the history of their as a team that made the playoffs. It was a terrible season. Oh man, you lost this, you lost that.
Fire Doc.
Finished Fire Doc. I wasn't even going to say it. You said it. I didn't say it. I wasn't going there yet. That was coming. But 54-28 is the record. That is the best record a Sixers team has had since the 2000-2001 NBA Finals season. Okay? Best record they had. Now, you could say, well, yeah, they were in third place. I'll get to that part later. Let's talk about the splits of this season. They started the season 12-10 through October, November. They had injuries galore. If I think people forget in the beginning of the season, Maxey significant time, Harden missed time, Embiid missed time. They had some serious, and they stayed afloat. They stayed hanging around. They did what they needed to do. After starting 12-10, they end up with 54 wins. That means they won 42 games the rest of the way. Let's go back to the All-Star break. Everyone said, Well, we're going to find out a lot about this team in March because this March schedule is horrendous. I mean, Jesus, this is terrible. We're going to see if Doc can actually coach in March. 12-5. 12-5. Now, if you go off of Twitter, those 5 losses were the single worst losses of all time. They went 12-5 in the toughest part of their schedule. And whether you agree with it or not, Doc Rivers won Coach of the Month in that March-April range, okay? Along with Joel Embiid, who, by the way, I can't wait to cash in on the bet I made when he was plus 250 for MVP. I'm just sitting here like, give me my money at this point. My point is this. It's like everyone talked about that stretch in March like it was so important. And then that stretch came, and it was like, well, they went 12-5. Oh, yeah, but did you see the losses? No, stop. The Sixers had an excellent regular season. With all that said, I'm not naive. I know what has to happen this year. I know that they have to get out of the second round. But let's also look at one other thing, why they're the 3rd seed. Roster, full roster. They are significantly less than the Celtics and the Bucks. And I just look at guys that come off the Celtics bench. Okay? You go to Malcolm Brogdon, you go to Derek White, you go to guys that can make that are legitimate starters probably for some teams in this league. The Sixers don't have that. The Sixers have, hey, for a week, Niang's going to shoot lights out. Another week, you hope Melton's going to, and you got to hope that these guys shoot lights out. Boston, you know what you're getting. Milwaukee, you're getting Bobby Portis coming off your bench. You got guys like Drew. So the Sixers, we know what we have with Joel Embiid and James Harden. I still don't think we know what we have with Tyrese Maxey. If he continues to allow the Boston Celtics to totally shut him down, that's a problem. You don't have as much talent. So, yes, we want them out of the second round. Yes, they can do it. But they are going to be underdogs in the second round and in the Eastern Conference Finals, unless somehow, some way, Boston and Milwaukee lose. But somehow we're going to sit here and we're going to judge all these guys, Doc included, on getting out of the second round. I just want us to sit back. And I want us to realize we just saw the best regular season since 2000-2001 from a Philadelphia 76ers team. We are going into the playoffs, probably the healthiest, I'd say, that they've been over the last 3-4 years. Embiid's not, pooping all the time or getting fractured orbital bones. Like, they're actually healthy for once going into the playoffs. Will that last? I don't know. But let's just focus. And this team is good. Doc Rivers is not a elite coach, but he is a good basketball coach. I go to 11 or 12 games a year, and I'm actually sitting right behind the visitors bench. But when you're at the game, I like to watch the stuff that's not on camera, like when you're watching. Doc is coaching Tyrese Maxey every single play. Everyone says Doc hates Paul Reed. Well, if he hates him, he really loves coaching people he hates because he's got Paul Reed over on the sideline every single play. Doc has done a good job this year. I know it wasn't perfect. I know we don't like some of the substitutions and the full bench lineup. I'm in agreement, right? He's not perfect. But Doc's done a good job this year. This team has done a good job this year. And we should really, as a fan base, realize we just saw a really good regular season from the Philadelphia 76ers.
I agree with everything you just said, except you're kind of playing a little scared here, Rob. Are you waving the white flag?
Oh, no.
Are you just saying the Sixers are out in the second round? Like if this is such a good team, hold on. You just went for like 25 minutes. If they're so good, then they should be able to beat them. And I think they can beat them. Yeah. But I agree with you. The Twitter, once the process got over and like the fans that didn't pay attention for 5 years started getting involved, that's when it started to get crazy on Twitter. People jumping in and out of the ship every 5 seconds. It's like, dude. And as far as Doc is concerned, no, he's not the greatest coach in the world, but he's also not the worst. He's not terrible. He's great at player development as far as, I won't say young players playing, but taking existing veterans and improving their game. Like Joel Embiid did not have a post game until he got here. He had a game where he just did whatever he thought and hoped it happened. He had no plan in the post, ever, Embiid, ever. He would make a cool move and he'd be like, but it would always be like he just happened to do that. Where when Doc got here with his staff, it was calculated. He started to understand defenses. He started to read double teams. And all that has to give credit to Doc while still crushing them for the same mistakes over and over again with the bench lineup. Like they just get, I don't know who just interviewed him and they asked him about doing the whole bench lineup. Was it Colin? I forget. Anyhow, they ask him and Doc has the balls to go, well, I did run an all bench lineup in 2006 with the Celtics. And it's like, come on, Doc. That was in 2007, 6, 7, whatever it was. It's 2023. So
his ego is his biggest deficiency. I mean, I'll be the first to tell you that. His ego is absolutely his biggest deficiency, and he doesn't have the bench that he had then here. That's the other thing. The talent is totally different. But no, I do think that look, I've said it. They got to get out of the second round. And if they don't, I know that dominoes are going to fall. I get it. I understand it. But my point is, I just think we're so quick to want our narrative to be right sometimes that we miss out on good basketball from time to time. That's all.
Good rant, Rob. Good rant.
Dibes disagrees with me. That's why he's quiet. When Dibes pierces his lips, he's over there saying, shut the F up, Rob.
I would argue he doesn't know how to use the talent on the bench. And that's one of my biggest keys for this series. It is Doc Rivers unlocking the bench with Joel Embiid off the court. We already know. And Rob, I actually am very optimistic because we already know how elite James Harden and Joel Embiid are together. They're starters. They're going to get extended minutes in the playoffs. They're healthy. More starters playing for the Sixers give them a great chance to get through Boston in round 2, get through the Milwaukee Bucks. I think this is the best shot they've had in a long time. But it really comes down to Doc Rivers and getting into the ear of James Harden, who had a terrific season, but you look back at seasons past, man, I still vividly remember James Harden being a negative 16 on the court, 11 points on 9 shot attempts in game 6 against the Heat. In what was that, game 6 last season, man? I know he was battling an injury, but Doc Rivers and how he manages the bench unit is not only critical to the Sixers' playoff chances this year, but his own future in Philadelphia. You look at kind of how the Sixers bench really performed, that they averaged 120.8 points per 100 possessions, which is really good with James Harden, with Jalen McDaniels, and with Paul Reed. That is good for 92nd percentile across the NBA. And if Doc Rivers opts to run with anything else on that second unit,
I agree.
Then he's officially buried his own grave.
Well, that's what I was going to ask.
Any minutes by Harrell, if we see any minutes by Dedmon, I'm going to freaking lose it.
I know that would be.
Well, that's what I was going to ask is to me, you've got to stagger this where obviously you want them to play together too, but I feel like Harden or Embiid have got to be on the floor at all times.
All times.
Like, and maybe they're going to try it out against the Nets where they both get a rest at the same time if they have the ability to do that. But you've got to figure out how to stagger. But you said, to me, the biggest X factor, look, Joel Embiid is going to win you 2 games in a series by himself. That's my opinion. James Harden is the X factor. He's got to be the guy we saw all season. And he's got to have a game in each series where he scores 25, 26, 27 points. Like, I need James Harden to win me a game too, and then the hope is a mixture of a Maxey, a Harris, a Melton, somebody else can get you another game with the scoring of the Embiid and Harden.
Well, let's jump into that. Let's get some top matchups from each of us, and I'll start with you, Rob. What's your top matchup that the Sixers need in this series to win, or vice versa?
For me, you need playoff PJ Tucker to totally try and take Mikal Bridges and other scorers from the Brooklyn Nets and just piss them off. I don't need PJ Tucker to hit 4 threes a game. I don't. Would I love it? Sure. But to me, I want the PJ Tucker that we saw last year, where every time when he was on the Heat, I was going, This son of a bitch is on every loose ball. He is in the head of our guards. He's in the head. That's what I need out of PJ Tucker. And I think because this Nets team really isn't ready to win right now, he can get into the head of a Mikal Bridges. Like Mikal, I love Bridges. Love the kid. Really, really wish he was here. As much as I love Brett Brown, I'll never forgive him for that. But, I want to see PJ Tucker get in the head of guys like Dinwiddie, guys like Bridges, because if that happens, there's really no contest here. I'm not worried about the other guys on the Nets beating the Sixers right now.
It's what we signed PJ Tucker for, playoff PJ Tucker. It's why we didn't understand why he was getting so many minutes and playing hurt. And in the big games this year, you have seen playoff PJ Tucker multiple times. So I agree. I PJ's not number one on my list, but he's going to be huge not only in this series but in the playoffs. Dives, what's your big matchup for this round?
It's super chalky, but it's Joel Embiid, especially versus Nick Claxton. Claxton's a very good rim protector, can defend 1 through 5. But Joel Embiid has absolutely carved him up in 2 games this year. 78 plus possessions, 34 points, 15 of 20 from the floor, and 1 of 1 from 3. I just think Joel Embiid's improvements, how far he has taken his game. There has been times this season when the game is on the line, and instead of forcing a contested shot, he finds an open PJ Tucker in the corner. That is the play of an MVP. We have seen it again and again this season, and that's the difference. It comes down to Joel Embiid. That is the engine for the Philadelphia 76ers. That James Harden, Joel Embiid pick and pop is arguably the most deadly weapon in the entire NBA. And you look at kind of like Embiid and his development in that middle area of the court, man. In 2021, Embiid shot 46+% on 270 attempts between 10 to 16 feet. That's that area where he's like maneuvering, where he gets the ball a lot. In 2022, he shot 42% on 351 attempts between 10 and 16 feet. And then in 2023, nearly 51% on 326 attempts, man. He's just been more efficient in every single way, but also more dominant in fourth quarters and during crunch time. Joel Embiid shoots 50.6% from the field in fourth quarters. That is far and away his highest mark during his Sixers career. We have seen the evolution of Joel Embiid in the fourth quarter. That was his biggest knock coming into the playoffs, and hopefully that translates this season.
Yeah, and they're not very long, but the Nets defense, they're very athletic. So they're going to try to throw different looks at Embiid and see if they can spook him and do some things that we've seen in the playoffs that he has struggled. I don't think they're going to be successful. Even being at that Boston game the other night, they threw 3 at him at times, and he just drained jump shots from those areas that 15 to 20 feet, as you're saying, Dives. So it's going to be very tough for Brooklyn to stop them, and especially if that shot's on there. The only time is when that shot's off. Is he going to grind it out and bang down low in the post? And we have seen times he has not. But to your point with Claxton, I think in games I looked up today, Claxton averaged against Embiid 4.5 fouls. So they got Dorian Finney-Smith if they want to go small, but the 4.5 fouls in itself is going to be an issue, because if he has 5 fouls through 2 quarters or 2.5, 3 quarters, what are the Nets going to do? So great point on Embiid. For me, I think the matchup that's most intriguing for me is James Harden. The Nets love to switch, and you could see that as a negative because they're always going to switch. But at the same time, Harden will be able to identify the matchup he wants as well. So I don't know that the pick and pop is going to work the way that we're accustomed to seeing it. But James Harden is going to have to identify those matchups, be the point guard that we saw, not the scorer, though I'll take the scoring from him as well, and find PJ Tucker in the corner, find whoever for the open shot. He's had some nice passes to Tobias Harris on the block, easy layups, different things like that are going to help him succeed. At the same time, I know he's going to struggle if he's got Bridges on him. And this is courtesy of Thiago, who has a ton of stuff. But against Bridges, it was last year when he went against him. He was 1 for 9 when Bridges was on him. So he'll struggle. But he had 13 assists he averaged against him. So back and forth on that. I just really think the key is going to have point guard play, because when the Sixers shot is not falling, what are they going to do? And if they have a point guard that's unable to create and make plays, we're going to see that same stagnant offense where we go 5 minutes without a basket and we're like, oh my God, we're playing the Nets. It's a 3-point game. What the heck is going on? So that's my big thing, Harden this series. Let's get into the keys to the game. I'll start with you, Dives. What's your main key to the game?
I mean, it's the pick and pop. It's the Sixers pick and roll with James Harden and Joel Embiid. I just think the Sixers offense is too elite for the Nets. You look at what hold on, let me find their pick and roll numbers. It is so funny. The Sixers generate here we go. The Sixers generate 17.5 points per game off plays where Embiid sets an on-ball screen for Harden. By far the most of any combination in the NBA. The two of them average 1.14 points per direct pick on these plays, which ranks in the top 10 among combinations who have run at least 400 plays together. That's awesome. I mean, that's really what, at the end of the day, I just don't want that to stop. The X factor, the key of this game is for the Sixers to keep doing what is working. What happened last year? We saw flashes of the Embiid Harden pick and roll. Guess what? Last year's playoffs, the Sixers were by far the most ISO heavy team during the playoffs. That cannot happen. If that happens, that is my nightmare right there, Rob. If Doc just flips the switch and just rolls the basketball and just says heavy ISO ball, we've got big problems. So it's really to just do what works.
Yes, I think I agree. And kind of my key is see, Dives doesn't like listen to me. He tunes out every time I'm about to talk. It's very rude. Very rude. But now he comes on. He doesn't even bring his camera on with us. Anyway, so what I want to see, because I believe the Nets series would be very different from a Celtics series. I believe the Nets are going to throw the really quick double team every time Joel Embiid gets the ball. And I want, A, Joel to make the right decision, but B, other guys to step up and knock down the shot when they need to be. Don't allow them to double team Joel. Hit the shot so that they can't do that, so then we could go feed it to them and dominate the game. But these guys have got to be ready to shoot. Tyrese Maxey, now's the grow up time, right? You got a full season under your belt. Now's the playoffs. You've got to show that you're ready to take the next step to be this third guy, right? You're seeing all these reports about Tyrese Maxey getting a max deal in the next couple years. You've got to be the guy now, all right? You've got to be a guy that we can count on to score when need be. So when they run these quick double teams and Embiid gets it out of there, let's move the ball quick and somebody step the hell up and make a damn shot. To me, it's that, and we need James Harden to be the guy he's been all year, as I said earlier. He can't fall apart in the playoffs like he had last year, I know, with the injury, but even in past years at other times for him, he's got to be aggressive, he's got to be smart with the basketball, and he's got to run the game from that point guard position.
Agreed. My key to the game, and I think it's really the only way the Nets make this a series or even take the series. I could see them sneaking up on game one, but is the Sixers have to defend the three, which has been a struggle from time to a lot. Guards and the three. That the Nets, that's really the only way they stay in this game. We got to make the three and defend the three. The Nets, since the All-Star break or the trade, I forget what it is, they're 8th in threes made in the league. And they're 3rd in threes made from the corner. That's the only way that they stay in this game. So if the Sixers can defend that, run them off the 3-point line, let Dinwiddie drive, but don't let it be such a problem, or Bridges off the dribble, that it creates open shots for three. I'll let them settle for their points if we can keep them off the 3-point line. And I mean, they got a ton of shooters. You know, you got Seth Curry, Joe Harris, Cam Johnson hasn't been that hot this year, but that was one of the trade guys we wanted. Remember, we were talking about that in our trades. Well, Cam Johnson was a guy that we really could go out and get. Cam Thomas is a scorer, but Spencer Dinwiddie, and then if they went small, Dorian Finney-Smith. So I really think defend the three, make our threes, and if we're making our threes, let's put it this way, they'll sweep. The Sixers will sweep, but we know how that goes. It's hot and cold, up and down. All right, prediction time.
Real quick, Joe Harris has been lights out from three over the last handful of games, so that's definitely a name to watch out for.
Yep. Yeah, and we've seen him before get hot, you know, and he's a killer shooter. They paid him a pretty good contract too when they had KD, Harden, and what's it, Kyrie. So
yeah, I think they're really gonna miss Ben Simmons. Couldn't even say it with a straight face. Couldn't even say it with a straight face.
I'm so sad. The storyline would be so awesome if he was playing, and
it's even better that James Harden could just dominate this series. They could win in 4 or 5 games, and Ben Simmons will not suit up. He played what, like 15 games for the Nets total since the trade, 20 games, something like that. It is an app. And I remember when the trade went down, you watched ESPN and the talking heads. The Sixers got fleeced. They got fleeced. What are you? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was on my birthday.
Yeah, they got fleeced. All right, didn't they? Get the hell out of here.
I'll never forget. It was on my birthday. I was so excited.
Could you imagine the drama between an Embiid and Ben Simmons round one? That would have just been
the drama would have been crazy.
And then Ben turtling up. Oh my God, it would have been amazing. It would have been, and I defended Ben for so long, but I would have. Oh God, it would have been great.
Yep.
I'll go first. Quickly, prediction time. Since I held us up so long, I'm gonna go sweep here. I'm gonna do a prediction. I think the Sixers sweep. Not only that, Philadelphia fans will travel up to Brooklyn for that final game, and you will hear "Where's Ben Simmons?" chants echo through that arena. You're definitely going to hear it game 2. Game 4 in the sweep. Sixers put the doubters. They prove to what you said earlier, Rob, they are the best team since 2001, and they sweep them in 4. Dives, what do you got?
I have Sixers in 5. I think we're due for one Doc Rivers game where we're like, what the heck was that? Sorry, Rob. I think that's just part of being a Sixers fan. They have a lead in the third quarter, and it's just gone like that, and they lose it somehow. So Sixers in 5. I think the Sixers offense is too good to let up here. And yeah, I think Joel Embiid hopefully doesn't put everything on his back. Hopefully this is a very smooth series. That way we can get ready for the Boston round 2 series, which will be ridiculous.
I actually have a Boston hat that I'm ready to light on fire with my kids. I've been saving it for the right moment.
That's going to be outrageous.
What do you got, Rob?
I got Sixers in 5 because I believe there will be one game where the Sixers do not hit their threes, and Joe Harris and Mikal Bridges and Spencer Dinwiddie light it up from the outside. My hope would be that the Sixers are up 3-0, and I feel a little bit better about them losing a game 4, and then coming back here. I don't think it will be Doc Rivers' fault because guys are hitting threes and other guys aren't, but that's just me. Regardless, I do agree with Dives. The Sixers are the better team, and I think that the Sixers should handle this one, hopefully fairly easy. Game 1s always scare me in these series, right? Because the Nets know they could throw the kitchen sink in there, right? Like they're like I think the Sixers were minus 850 to win this series. Like it was a big number. And so the Nets are going to come out there. That first 5 minutes, like, expect it to be a little ugly, but my hope is that the better team just prevails and wins this thing in 5.
And I kind of, if they do go in 5, the "Where's Ben Simmons" chance will be at our own stadium. So I'll take 5.
The Nets fans that actually care, although there's very few of them, they might join in the chant when we do it up there.
they very well may.
They're asking it too.
Well, that's it for our Sixers and Eagles talk. We'll be back next week, 6:15, Party on Broad, right here on the Edge of Philly Sports YouTube channel. Where can we find you? What else do you guys got going on? Rob, you have anything else going on? Where can we find you?
You find me at Philly_madness, probably tweeting at Dibes either about Justin Jefferson or Doc Rivers. One of those two things will be tweeted out almost on the daily at this point for the remainder of the next few weeks. So find me on Twitter. That's where I'm at. And then right here with my boys on Party on Broad.
And then make sure when you follow Rob, you hit notifications so you can see every single one of them. Like it and then chime in. Well, you could be on Dive's side too. It'll be fun. Just chime in with them.
It's all good.
Dives, what do you got going on?
All right. Well, we did 2 BGN draft shows this week. We did interior defensive line rankings. That'll be dropping tomorrow. We also did a full first round mock. That'll also be dropping tomorrow with highlights and analysis. Can't find it anywhere else. It's so good. And then we are doing, Mark Schofield and I are doing it. Our show's on Friday. We will be doing position breakdowns on safety and running back for this week. So be on the lookout for those. And I also did Eagles 4-round mock that I'll be dropping at some point as well. So tons and tons of draft content.
Yes.
By the way, tomorrow night we'll have our big Sixers versus Nets preview show. That'll be with Sean, Bernard, and Tiago. That'll be tomorrow night at 8:00. And then you can expect tons and tons of Sixers content starting on Saturday. Just Sixers versus Nets content. So tons and tons of stuff coming.
Good show. I'm certainly going to catch that to get my education level up on that. You can I mean, they're two
Thiago,
good guys, Bernard and Tiago. Tiago, every time I feel like when he talks, I'm like a little kid, like being taught like how the game of basketball works. Like I think I pretty much know it. I played it. I love it. And then he talks and I'm like, I didn't think of it like that.
Me and Tiago were the best of friends. Now I think he hates me.
Why? Because of Doc. You defended Doc.
Because Tiago, I haven't seen. I tell you what, I love Tiago, and he's one of the smartest basketball guys I know. But there's not a day that goes by where I don't see at least one Doc tweet come from Tiago. I know he hears me defend him, and he's probably like, I hate that guy. So
it's like 4 to 5 every day. Tiago's on my feed, crushing Doc. Any national sports writer says anything, he's chiming in.
Tiago is great at. He's giving you a really good lesson, and he'll just slide like one little line in, and you know he's referencing Doc. Even Doc for me to know that's what he's referencing.
And Sean Bernard, he's awesome as well.
Yeah,
you can catch me tonight, 8:30 p.m. on Edge of Philly Sports, as we'll be going in the Sixers, Phillies, Flyers, and Phillies, who lost today a series to the Marlins. And then as we wrap up now, you can catch Philly Press Box Radio. They're going live simultaneous with us. Catch the end of their show. They have great guests every single week. For Chris Dibes and Rob Lange, I'm Freddie Burns. We will see you next week.